Look, choosing a fraternity can be a total minefield of reputations and rumors. So today, we're going to cut through all that noise with a brutally honest evaluation of the Delta Phi Rho Chapter at UVA. Let's really figure out what these guys are all about.
Okay, so right off the bat, this is the main thing you have to get. Delta Phi, or Rho as they're known, is not your typical movie fraternity. They're basically trading in the whole foam cannon and fog machine scene for something more like, well, old libraries and dinner jackets. For some people, that is the entire appeal. For others, it's an absolute deal breaker.
All right, so here's how we're going to break this down for you. We'll kick things off with their whole vibe, crunch some numbers, check out their alumni network, see what Brotherhood actually means to them, and then wrap it all up with a final verdict.
Okay, let's dive into that first piece, the identity. The type of guy they're known for is what you'd call the quiet Jeffersonian gentleman. You know, at a place like UVA, where image is a big deal, Rho's whole thing isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's all about composure, about being discreet. They've found their niche, and they stick to it.
And this, right here, this is the big trade-off. On the plus side, you get this really clear identity that fits right into UVA tradition, good manners, that kind of thing. But yeah, the flip side is that they can seem a little under the radar, almost walled off. So if you're the kind of person who wants giant parties every weekend, this whole restrained vibe, it's probably going to feel pretty limiting.
All right, let's switch gears and look at the actual numbers. Let's see how that identity plays out in the day-to-day experience. We've got 3 scores here from our source that honestly paint a super clear picture of what this chapter values.
First up, alumni value, and they score a pretty solid 63 out of 100. Now what this means is they have a really strong network, but specifically in those traditional career paths. Think law, think finance. It'll get you a warm introduction, it gives you some credibility for sure, but don't think it's a golden ticket to an internship, especially if you're in a more creative field.
Okay, next up, the stereotypical frat lifestyle. They come in at a 42. And look, that's not a bad score. It just tells you there's way less chaos here. You should be thinking more along the lines of well-planned mixers, classy formals, not just random ragers in a basement. Their brand is all about high standards, not high volume. And the last one here, chance of hooking up, which scores a 47. And what this score really says is that just wearing the letters isn't going to do the work for you. The whole Rho vibe, it works best for guys who are already pretty polished, already confident. It's a place that rewards you for who you are, not just for being a member.
So when you put these scores side by side like this, it just spells it all out, right? The big strength, no question, is that long-term career value. The other stuff, the more stereotypical college party scene, that's just not their main focus. And you can tell, this is a very intentional choice on their part.
Okay, so that high alumni score, let's dig into that a little deeper, because it's probably their biggest asset. I love this subtitle here, subtle doors, solid rooms. It just perfectly nails what their network is all about. It's not flashy, it's meaningful.
The thing you gotta understand is that this network is all about quality, not quantity. It's really built for the guy who's a steady performer, who's got his stuff together. Yeah, it'll open a door for you, but it's not gonna carry you over the threshold. You still have to prove yourself. It's about competence, not just connections.
All right, now we get to what I think is maybe the most interesting part of this whole breakdown. We're going to talk about the Brotherhood, the internal culture, and we're going to use a really specific, kind of unique framework from the source material to understand how close these guys actually are.
So that's the big question, right? Everyone throws the word brotherhood around. But what is that closeness, that comfort? What does it actually feel like day to day? Okay, so to measure this, the source material uses this analytical tool it calls the homoerotic level. Basically, it's a 10-point scale that's all about measuring the level of physical comfort and just normalized intimacy within a group of guys. Level 1 is like you're just business-like roommates. Level 10 goes all the way to actual romantic relationships. So it's a pretty wide spectrum.
So where does Delta Phi Rho land? According to the source, they are squarely at a level 5. So, what does a level 5 actually mean? This quote pretty much sums up level 5. Occasional nudity, sleepovers, and beers and towels. What it's describing is a state where physical comfort is just normal. It's not a big deal. It's that kind of casual closeness that just happens when a group of people are genuinely comfortable with each other in their own space.
And this is really the key to understanding Rho. That level 5 vibe there is very specific. It's not that loud, kind of showy locker room thing. It's more of a composed closeness. It lines up perfectly with that quiet gentleman identity we talked about. So yeah, think about chatting with a brother while you're both in towels after a shower, or just crashing on a couch after a big event. It's totally comfortable, but still classy. Okay, let's wrap this all up. Time for the final verdict. We've seen the identity, we've crunched the numbers, we've looked at the Brotherhood. So who should actually join this fraternity?
The final score from the source material comes in at a 56 out of 100. Now, that's not a score that screams, "We're the top house on campus," and honestly, it's not meant to. What it reflects is a chapter that knows exactly what it is and is really, really good at it. They're not trying to be for everyone. They're for a very specific type of person.
So here it is, the final breakdown, the pros versus the cons. On the pro side, you get a really tight Brotherhood with very little drama. You get that serious alumni network, and their events are always well run. On the con side, you're going to see fewer of those massive parties. Your social status is something you have to build for yourself. And yeah, the whole vibe can feel a bit restrained if you're looking to go wild.
At the end of the day, it all boils down to this one really powerful quote. Rho is for the guy who sees college as a runway to real life, not a four-year costume party. This place is built for someone who's ambitious, who's thinking about their future, and who sees their fraternity as a foundation for that future, not just a four-year party.
So we'll just leave you with this final question. Really think about it. Your goals, who you are, what you really want from college. Are you built for the quiet life?